Sanctification. It's true in salvation. This is true in sanctification. And it's the only way to have satisfaction in the Christian life. You will never be satisfied in the Christian life until you and I say, "Dear God, you can have it all." Every day, every moment. Let Him lead. All to Jesus I surrender. All to Him I freely give. You know the Bible tells us no man can serve two masters. Matthew chapter 6. No man can serve two masters. You cannot serve self and our sovereign Savior. You cannot serve sin and our sovereign Savior. And you certainly cannot serve Satan and our sovereign Savior. You cannot serve two masters. For either you will hate the one and love the other, or else you will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and man. A man cannot be saved if he refuses to give all to Christ. A man cannot be sanctified if he does not give all to Christ. And a man will never be satisfied until he gives all to Christ. Do not think that God takes half-hearted Christianity. Half-hearted Christianity is not Christianity at all. God was not half-hearted when He gave His only begotten Son to buy us, redeem us, and He will not take a half-hearted person to be saved. He will not. He does not accept half-hearted holiness. The principle is proclaimed. Then it's pictured. He said, "He that receiveth you, he receiveth me. And he that receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me." Then He shows us this picture of three people. Or maybe three ways you look at people. Three things. He gives us these three. He shows us the preacher man. He shows us the pious man. And He shows us the peasant man. The preacher man, the pious man, and the peasant man. And as I see it, He says, "He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward." That's the preacher man. "He that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward." That's a pious man. "And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones," one of these least of all people, because he's one of my disciples, "verily I say to you, he shall not lose his reward." So if we receive God's man as a prophet, as a preacher, the Bible will teach us we enter into His work. We work with Him and have become part of everything that happens through Him. We get part of it. The Bible calls them fellow helpers in 3 John. Fellow helpers to the truth. That's what it's talking about. If I say, "Listen, I'm going to receive this preacher as a preacher, a man of God," I'm going to, and guess what? I'm going to be getting part of that, every reward He gives. You know, Paul tells us in Philippians chapter 4, it's fruit to your account. Fellow helpers, you're knit together, you've entered into the work with Him. And therefore you get part of the reward that He gets. You get rewarded for what He does. Fellow helpers to the truth. Fellow laborers is what he says in Philippians 4:3. Philemon chapter 1, verse number 24. Fellow workers to the kingdom is what he calls them in Colossians 4:11. We receive fruit that may abound to our account, because we receive that man of God as a man of God, that preacher as a preacher of the gospel, as one of God's choice servants. And that is the way we should do it. You say, what's it mean to receive them? That means bring them into our fold. Allow them to be part of us. And that way we become part of them. I think about that very often as I think about those missionaries in Turkey, those missionaries in Africa, the missionaries in South Dakota. That everything that they do, because we don't do a whole lot for them, but we do a little bit. We're part of that ministry. We pray for them. We send them a little bit of support. We receive them in and said, listen, we want you to be one of us. We want to be part of your work that God's doing through you. Because we know you're a preacher. Brother Barnes. If he's helped somebody today, we're in on it. We get in on this stuff. If you receive a preacher, a prophet, in the name of the prophet, you receive a prophet's reward. That is a religious focus. A religious focus. You and I need to realize he's given three focuses. As we look at the preacher, he's got a religious focus here. As we become part of and enter into the work with that preacher, we get part in that work of that preacher. We get into the work. But not only do we find the preacher, but then we see the righteous man. So we're looking, going from a religious focus to a righteousness focus. Now some people look at the ministry and say, some churches say, you know what? I want to be part of somebody's help ministry. Not necessarily a preaching ministry, but a helps ministry, a pious ministry, where they will have an orphanage, where they will go out and help churches to do work around churches. Righteous men. Just going out, trying to do right for the glory of God. They will have an adoption agency. Because if you're going to be against abortion, you ought to be trying to make sure that there's something to do with those children that are not wanted. Now, the best thing is for us to be able to try to find a young lady and try to help her to raise that child for the glory of God. But what if she says, I don't want this, then we better be willing to take them in. Help out ministry of help. The righteous man. And so we receive the religious man, the preacher. And then we receive the righteous man, that one that is pious, who lives right and is doing something to be a help. If we receive them as such, not based upon mainly a religious focus, but a righteous focus, social duties. You notice that came after the religious duties. But we ought to. Jesus didn't leave them hungry. He fed the 5,000. Jesus didn't leave them. Jesus took care of them the best he could. I mean, did he not? If your brother comes and has a need, and you have this world good and you shut up your bowels of compassion, how dwelleth the love of God in you? So we ought to have a righteousness focus. The religious focus, we entered into the work. In the righteous focus, we express our gratitude for the work. I am thankful that you're doing this, and therefore I'm going to help you along the way. I'm going to help you in this ministry. You and I have a responsibility to help the world see Jesus. I think of the disciples. He did not just send them out to preach the kingdom, but He told them to heal the sick. Did He not? You see, one is the religious focus, the other is the righteousness focus. Feed the hungry, heal the sick, do something. Every life that's touched by those kind of ministries, if we're part of it, if we receive them, we've encouraged them, expressed our gratitude to them for that, everybody they touch, we're part of touching. Fruit for our account. That's what He's talking about. Entering into the work, expressing the gratitude. Then He dealt with the peasant man. Let me say, with the preacher man, there was a religious focus, and he entered into the work. With the righteous man, or the pious man, it was a righteousness focus, and we expressed gratitude for the work. But then, he says, one of these little ones gives them a cup of cold water. It's a refreshing focus. And it encourages them to the work. I think about this. What is a cup of cold water in the life of a person? And I think, wow, He pours water in that are thirsty. You ever gotten thirsty and said, I don't know if I can go any farther? And guess what? Somebody comes along and pours water, a cup of cold water, just a word in season for them that are weary, a word of encouragement. A word that will get you to where you say, I can get up and keep going. Even if it's the little guy who's not even made it quite, he's encouraged to the work. We ought to be encouragers. Our whole focus should be to exalt others and esteem others better than ourselves. And say, listen, I want to get in and enter into that preacher's work. I want to express gratitude to that pious man's work. But I want to encourage that peasant man's work. You say peasant man. Well, that's what he said, the little ones. That word is a word that we'll find differently used, or the same way used. Another word we'll find in Matthew 25, in verse number 40, I believe it is. And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you've done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. A nobody. They don't have anything to offer. They're not even getting a reward. They're not the preacher man yet. They're not the pious man yet. They're not doing the works of religion. They're not doing the works of righteousness. They're just needing a refreshing done because they need to be encouraged. And guess what he says? You'll not lose your reward. Because if you encourage them, and they go on, and they get to being a preacher, or they go on and they do a pious work, you got the reward. He said, just a little thing. Just a little thing. Now you have to have the right heart. Have the right hope. I just want some of His reward. Not from Him, but some like Him. I want, when I'm trying to go and preach, I want somebody to enter in prayer when I'm for my preaching. When I'm trying to help the hungry and feed the hungry, I want somebody to express gratitude for the fact and maybe help us along the way with that. And when I'm feeling down and low and I feel like I'm a nobody and I'm the least of the least, I just want somebody to pour me a cup of water and say it'll be all right and give me some encouragement. Is that not what you want? Is that not what everybody wants? That's the natural, supernatural. It's man in his nature. We need each other. When we receive, I said a little while ago, that means like we allow them to become part of our life. We receive them as one of us, as part of us. We let them come in. We let that man come into our home and stay in our home, maybe. Just using that for an example. When our neighbor comes in the middle of the night and says, I've been on a long journey and I'm hungry, we refresh them by going to our neighbor and saying, give me something to eat. I got somebody that came from a long journey. Why? Because we want to do this thing. We want to be part of the work. Now here's our problem. That means we have to be willing to give up ourselves to receive them. Because that means I have to be willing to give up my sleep to run to the hospital to minister to somebody when they're sick. I have to be willing to give up what I want to do for somebody else. It takes a downward trend. It takes losing your life so that we can gain. If all we want is to gain, he that saveth his life shall lose it. God has desire. God has a plan. Are we willing to sacrifice ourselves and give of self that we might take care of their needs? See, God rewards us now and in the future. He rewards us now and in the future. Their faith was spoken of across all the world. Romans 1:8. Philippians chapter 4. As Paul writes to the Philippians and tells them about their faith and about how they gave to His word and how it's fruit. Now the whole world remembers the Philippians. The whole world remembers the Romans in Romans chapter 1 verse number 8. God says, I want to give you a reward now, and then I'll give you one in the future. Eternal reward. He'll not forget you. He'll not forget your labor of love which you show toward His saints. Oh, He'll not forget it. He will reward you. What you've done in secret, He'll reward you openly. Are you doing it for the reward? That's His That's the wrong heart. If you're doing it for your hopes, you've got the wrong heart. But if you're doing it with the right heart, where the love of Christ is why I'm doing it. Because the love of God's work, the love of the King, and the love of the kingdom is why I'm doing it. They won't have the right hopes. I hope somebody gets some help from Brother Barnes today. You know what? After they get some help, then I can start thinking about, thank you, Lord, for letting me be part of it. And the Lord says, oh, I've not forgotten your labor. I've not forgotten your praying for the saints. I've not forgotten that you gave that little bit. Did that little thing for them. I've not forgotten. He said, I will do it. Because that's the way God is. Our job is not to seek to be exalted. Our job is to humble ourselves upon the mighty hand of God, that He might exalt us in due time. Our job is to enter into the Word, express gratitude, and encourage the saints. And God says, don't think I forgot you. I'll give you a reward. Father, I pray